And welcome to the Philip Cockrum channel, viewers. Please like, subscribe, share, and comments. It helps this channel grow, and it helps me bring you these great videos that we all love. So here's a quick look at the box. Again, this is the E-Flite PITTS S 850 millimeter. So let me slide it out and we'll start cutting apart the pieces and you can see how it comes. Okay, so the wheels were located at the bottom of the styrofoam. Just had some tape on there holding them out. So it'll give you kind of an idea of the size difference we're talking about. Again, $75 more for this one. Let's move those aside. So here's how it comes packaged. It's nicely packaged. A couple top braces already cut there. We got the prop separate and stuff there. So let's pull those guys out. Some foam holding the spars in there. So there's our two wing spars. There's a left and right for these because they are curved. So they're not only curved like that to go with the curve of the wing, but they also have like an inner and an outer curve to them too because of how they sit in the wings. So it's kind of important to get those correct in the instructions. That looks to be our bottom wing because we've got our servos installed there. It's beautiful finish on this thing. Beautiful. Highly visible on the air. We can see we've got our servos already installed here on the bottom and they're covered up with some tape there. They look like they're centered pretty good. We're going to need to pull out the wires to get them ready for the assembly. Kind of have them tucked in there. And what I've been doing is I put a little O-ring around the end of the wires here just to hold them nice and straight for when you're putting them through the hole in the plane for assembly, especially ones that you're taking on and off. It's one of our rear elevator stabilizers. So this is the only part on this plane that gets glued in, but the only thing that I don't like about this plane is I wish they had made these removable, right? But that's how wide your fuselage is going to end up staying once you glue these in. Now this is kind of typical of old style foam assembly and construction and so forth. It keeps costs down and everything like that, right? But I sure hope that they update that when next time that they update this plane. It's one of the reasons I've been holding off because once I assemble this I don't want to disassemble it. It's not too tricky, but there are a couple of things to know about it, right? Which I'll mention at the start of the maiden video if I had any problems there. Got our full instruction booklet, as you can see. We've got some, these are kind of optional to put on there. There's, they're little carbon fiber wing supports on there, but they're not functional. They're just a decorative piece there. There's our prop. I've got there's like an adapter piece that's important to get lined up with the nose cone. There's some little slots on the front of the adapter piece where my fingers are, top and bottom. And that's got to line up with the top and bottom of the cone when you're tightening that up. It's about the only thing to remember, and it doesn't say in the instructions too, but I think the nut goes on the inside of that piece. And there's our top wing, which almost identical to the bottom wing, but if you look close they're a little bit different shape. So here's one of the unusual features of this plane. Zoom in here a little bit, but they're using some body pins as construction mounts. So you just push this through the holes in the fuselage, which I'll show you in a second, and push some body pins in there. So it's a little tricky, to get them lined up. You probably want to use some tweezer type pliers, right? And the same thing for where the struts go. They use some longer body pins here, and they go through these holes that are mounted on the wings, top and bottom. So it is fairly easy to disassemble and assemble. It's only the tail wing elevator that you're gluing in that keeps it from really going back in the box. Is how you see me taking it out of this box. And here's our piece de resistance, our fuselage. Isn't this thing beautiful? As all the pits are. You know, it's a fat, stubby little plane, which, you know, I love. It's got beautiful decal work. Paint color is perfect. You can see they've left those spots there where you're going to glue in your rear elevator clear. And there's where our wings mount here through these holes, and you put the body pins into the bottom of them. And then on the bottom it just has one single post, so there's two little holes where the wing slots in this way and then drops down on top of this post, and then you slide a body pin into this post to hold it. This post actually turns in and out too, so you can adjust the height if it's not quite lined up to get your wing on fairly snug. You just want it so it doesn't move around. And this is an E-Flite model, you know, they always fit together just perfectly because they're laser cut and whatnot. So let's take a look inside. You can see our beautiful pilot figure inside there. Typical, really nice Pitts canopy. A little nice little handy piece of tape to hold it on there. You can look inside. It's very spacious inside, as all Pitts are. They have lots of room for the battery. And this thing has a battery tray to it, which, let's see if that easily just pulls right out. Yes, it does. So you see I just pulled it forward there. You can keep the battery connected to the tray is the idea here, and just push the tray in and out, right? But I don't know how many people do that. And again, this plane can handle a 3 or a 4 cell battery. I have two of the batteries here, you can see. So the top one is a 3 cell battery, 2200, and the bottom one is a 2250, but it's a 4 cell battery to it. You can see the thickness of the... It's got 3 screws that hold the landing gear onto this plastic reinforced area here, like that. And then the body pins hold the wings on, glue the tail pieces in. So I'm going to do that stuff off camera. Okay, well, curiosity got the better of me. I really want to fly this plane and I wanted to see it assembled, so I thought I'd go through the assembly process here quick with you guys. I've already jumped ahead a little bit, done the first 2 steps that they tell you to do, which is to bolt on the landing gear assembly, just 3 screws, it bolts right in, and I've glued in the tail. So there you recommend CA glue, but I used foam tack. You know, everybody has their personal choice. I wanted the foam tack to be, you know, a little bit flexible and stuff on here. The next step is they tell you to connect this rod up here for your elevator, and it's supposed to go into the second hole down. But I'm going to wait till we turn on the radio and make sure that that's centered first before we do that, because it looks like it wants to screw out like probably about 2 millimeters or so now, how it is. So let's just jump right into the next phase of the assembly, which is to put on this bottom wing. Again, I put my little O-rings on those wires to help tuck them in there. There's a couple of little locator nubs on the front and this pin here that it sits on. I had to unscrew the pin a little bit to get it out far enough for the wing to sit down on, like that. And then you just put in, so I'm going to put again another one of these little O-ring guys on there just to protect the plastic and keep the pin from rattling. It looks like I need to turn it out. So you can use the pin itself to turn this bigger pin in or out. There we go. That'll keep it nice and tight and stop any kind of vibration, right? It's only a little tiny O-ring. So let's flip it over. The next step is to put on the struts, it says. So this is the Ernst Mega Stand, and you know, you can see you can reverse the things on it. So this is the first time I'm using it. I really like it already because it's really nice to protect the plane really good. Whoops, dropped one. So another quick way to tell these two struts apart, I mean they are labeled left and right, but you see they've got some holes on the inside, and you can see the reinforcement in there. So the holes are going to go to the inside of the plane, like so. So you're going to see a clean outside look, and this one here is going to be towards you. It's going to be sitting like that. So it's got these long pins that go through there. I'll just show you those quickly. There's the pins, they're going to go through there. So I'm going to pause the camera and put those things in. Okay, well that was super easy. So the next step is to put in the top wing, and it's got a couple of little nubs on it that stick down that are lining up with two holes on this platform, and also a little slot here at the front that lines up with the slot here on the wing, which is plastic reinforced. So just need to take your time and line it up, and then you put the pins in through the bottom. So I'm going to do that off camera too, because it could be a little bit fiddly. Okay, well that was pretty easy. The only tricky part is this tab up here at the top, right? It needs a little bit of pressure down and push it back, and then the pins at the back here will just drop right in, and then you just push your body pins through there. These ones here on the top of the strut ones went in really easy. So the next step is to put on the control links for the top and bottom ailerons. So okay, well whoever did the control rods in this assembly or in this package did a great job, because they look to be the perfect length to me. Now what I did have to do though was open up the holes on here for the clevis to go through. Now I just used a hobby knife and just open up the holes a little tiny bit, but I did see someone else had to do that too. So it's kind of weird that they, you know, it literally won't go through unless you open up those holes a little tiny bit. Okay, well that's just about it. I got a battery inside it there. I've already centered up the controls, and I'm glad I didn't hook up this rod already, because I did have to lengthen this by about 2 millimeters or so, and I also had to open up the hole on that horn to get the clevis pin through there as well, just like the other ones, but it's all good. It's a simple fix. So the last stage is the prop on here, and the instructions aren't the clearest on this piece here. There's a piece here that's called F in this diagram that's actually already on the motor, right? So if people are looking for that and how this assembles isn't 100% clear. So this piece has a little hub kind of thing on the back side of it that's going to go against the motor, and then there's two very small little slots that line up with the slots of this nose cone, like that. So it can't go on the back, it can only go on there like this. So when you're tightening up the prop, you got to make sure that this thing doesn't spin. So you put this on with that to the back of it, and then your prop, and then your nut, and then when you tighten this down, you want to make sure that your slots are clear. So I'm just going to do that, and then we'll put on the nose cone. Okay, so that's what your prop is going to look like. You can see how those little slots are kind of offset to the center of the prop there, and that way your nose cone is going to fit right on there perfect, as it should. And then the last thing in the instructions, you put the screw through the nose cone, and then there's a big thick kind of aluminum washer that goes over the screw, and then that screws onto the actual prop itself. Bad angle for me here, like that. Snug. That's it. So prop's on there good and snug. Just move it ahead in this stand a little bit, and we'll fire up the radio here, and you guys can hear it. A little tricky to get in there, but you get used to it. So we did our control surfaces twice there, as you could hear. Where's my canopy there? There we go. Okay, so we got left and right, up and down, throttle, and you got throttle cut. So I got to program my throttle cut. Easy enough to do. And I think we're in safe select right now. I hear the AS3X going. Yep. So you can see my ailerons there, trying to straighten out the plane. We'll do a little bit more testing on that before we put it up into the air, but it sounds all awesome. Like we're ready to go. Thanks for watching today, folks. Love and peace from Canada, and we are YouTube.